The Narayana Dakini came to Earth with a mission. But why did they come with that mission? What brought them here? From the records of Thoth, it is revealed to me that their mission had to do with a larger picture of the relationship between the Earth and the starplex, as Thoth calls it, of the Pleiades, Sirius, and Orion. There's a much larger story here that I'm not going to go into, but suffice to say that many beings from the stars that are our star kindred, most especially coming from the starplex of Orion, Sirius, and the Pleiades, but others as well, have come to this earth, are coming to this earth, will come to this earth for a central core reason. They may have outer perimeters of that differ, but don't conflict. However, the core purpose is the evolution of the spiritual consciousness of this planet and the human beings and all living things that reside upon it. Now, when we look out in the heavens and we see so many stars, and think of all the planets, the worlds, the living beings, whether they're kindred or of other types entirely, that are out there. And when we add in all the different dimensions, all the different reality spectrums, it's mind-boggling. So we really can't go there and remain sane. But why then would Earth be so important? Well, we need to look at it from another perspective to answer that question. And that is one of singularity. When a focus in the cosmos is created of any kind, it produces, I'm using the term singularity. Now, it may not be exactly what the scientists refer to as that, but I'm going to use it in regard to what Thoth refers to it as. And a singularity in that sense is an impacting moment that encompasses specific frequencies, specific alignments, and it does not include everything else. Now, of course, everything is linked in the universe. You can't separate it entirely, and it's not intended to be separated in that sense. But in focus, one has to have a focus, and universal intelligence is very good about focusing. Without its focus, everything would be in chaos. There would be no communication. There would be no ability to develop anything because something else would be coming in and supplanting that. And it would just be a total free-for-all. So the universe knows how to focus. Divine intelligence knows how to focus. And that focusing moment, when there is a realization from the mind of God, let's speak metaphorically here, it sets off a ripple in time-space, and this ripple is selective. Everything that is connected to that singularity, that has a similar frequency or vibration, is instantly inured to it. It's like it has a stake in connecting. It has a knowledge that this is the point of survival for the system. So the Earth would be addressed as a point of its singularity, whatever that may be, in the universe. So the Earth would say, my survival depends on my singularity, or the referencing of this giant capital S singularity that is the one that I come out of, I connect to, I have awareness of, and it feeds me. So it's also, we have to see that everything that has the connection to that singularity was created by it. However, because time is not linear in the truest cosmological sense, but toroidal like everything else is in the cosmos, it can exist before its own creation. Okay, I know we're going way out there here. We only need to touch on this just for a moment. We don't have to keep pondering it, or our brains will explode. But we need to look at it for a moment to say that we recognize, for instance, we recognize that we had parents and we were born from our mother's womb. And here we are in our life for 20, 30, 40, 50s, 80s, whatever. And we can say, well, I know where I came from. I came from my mother's womb as far as a physical body. That's where I came from. And the genetics and everything. But what if you said to yourself, well, here I am, and I'm 80 years old. And when my mother birthed me, I was still here at 80. I was at 60. I was maybe had already left this mortal coil and was in spirit. I was in all those places when my mother birthed me. I'd already lived my life, the life that she birthed. Or you could say, she birthed me, but I wasn't born yet because I'm pre-birth. I'm in another lifetime, not that one, but another one. Or maybe I'm in the inner planes in between, and I haven't been birthed yet, and yet I have. And all of this is so mind-bending because we have to bring it down to, our minds are structured at this point in time to bring everything down to a linear passage. And it has a purpose. It's not that it's wrong. We're here to think linearly for a reason. If we didn't, we couldn't operate here. We have to have a certain amount of linear understanding. If we didn't, we'd say, well, I may have given birth to a child yesterday, but hey, he hasn't been born yet, so I'm not going to feed him. It could get pretty ridiculous and also pretty awful. So we have to have a certain linear understanding. But that said, we have to realize that there's something beyond that actually conducts the way we live, the way we experience life, and the way we experience reality. It is the prime facilitator of all of that. And yet, because of various reasons, we have to put it into some kind of a linear format in order to get from one day to another as we perceive it. Now, I seem to be off topic here because I'm not talking about Dakini, but it's important to understand that the Dakini's message comes out of representing the singularity that is shared on many levels by the kindred with a capital K, and they are the kindred of the earth. So they received the message. I don't think we have to go into some big details about how, it just really isn't important. It is that they received the message. And they probably didn't get it from, somebody coming up to them and saying, well, I'm the commander of so-and-so and you're under me, so I'm going to command you to go to this planet over here and do this work. No, I don't think that's the way it happened. What I'm perceiving is more likely is that they received it in their heart chakra spirit consciousness. And they received it not individually, but as a whole, because they were working as a whole system. And in that receipt, they were given accommodation by their people, their planet, whatever, to do what they did and to make the voyage and to come to Earth. But now we still haven't gotten around to why Earth is so important. Okay, I got to get back to that. in the singularity that it represents, that the planet Earth represents, Thoth has always referred it to me as that Earth sits on a particular nodal point in our holographic universe. And remember, this holograph comes out of the singularity that we're speaking of. That nodal point connects a lot of pathways back to source. When the fractures occurred, they sought to recoalesce, to come back together. And there are nodes in the universe where that energy is trying to come back together. And of course, this is no coincidence. The Earth deliberately was developed on that node. Going back to my material from the past that Thoth has opened the scroll for me, the Earth and Venus as entities came from the blue star Rigel. So they were very deliberately placed here, and where they were placed for the greater purpose. Again, a larger topic I won't go into here. So the Earth was placed very specifically for that purpose. And the Dakini, the Sewestra Dakini, of course knew that, and were part of the greater plan. And they had help from those sources, the hierarchies, or whatever you want to name them, to be able to come to Earth for a very long-term program with this. So the 12, at least 12 of these Dakini, came to Earth for that purpose. And of course, as I said, in the chapter 1, the mission statement is to heal the planet and align it with the natural world. Now, what does it mean to heal the planet? Because if we look at things from 2022, we see that it's being far from healed right now. And I've addressed this in other videos. Again, I don't want to go too far into it. But healing does not necessarily mean putting everything back together, putting old Humpty Dumpty back together again. Maybe Humpty Dumpty needed to just break open. His yolk needed to be exposed to the sunshine and the fresh air. And so, healing is a much bigger picture than saying, oh, this is wrong and this is wrong. Let's put this all back together so we can have a nice little world again. We never had a nice little world, at least we haven't in a long time. So it has to be reordered. And that hurts. It's painful, especially when the darker forces are struggling to keep hold of it. So healing is a big term, and the Dakini recognize that, the Sewestra. And what they are working with specifically is to bring us into greater contact with the natural kingdom. And I'm not just talking about, kumbaya with the plants and the animals, which is a good thing. I'm not marginalizing that. But this is much more than that. It's understanding the depth of our Mother Gaia. It's understanding how she lives as a soul ensouled planet, which is a different kind of soul than human souls, or even animal soli. So if we can get in touch with that frequency in a much greater, deeper way, we will be then well on our way to achieving the needed frequency and light expansion for what Thoth calls Light Principle 40, that flash when we move from a World System 1 to a World System 2, the new Earth star, which means we go back into the heart of Rigel. And yet, we don't go back, really, because we're going forward into the heart of Rigel, into a future and more expanded systemic function in that realm. So that took us way out, way beyond the Dakini, I know, but it needed to be stated so you can understand their plight and understand their way of thinking. So the Dakini, the Sewestra Dakini, arrive from the Pleiades into the sacred hollow of the planet, into the center of a lake and upon an island, both of which are called Sewestra. This island and lake are on the furthest periphery of what Thoth refers to as Seraphim. He refers to the whole island, large island, as Seraphim, but also there is the city of Seraphim. But this lake is on the outer edge of the island. It's a large island. It was once volcanic, a long, long, long time ago. So it's a crater, basically. A giant crater that has mountains and valleys and lakes within it. The island of Seraphim is very close to the point, the nodal point in the inner earth, which is in the ocean, where the sapphire pillar touches the inner earth. And that pillar, S-A-F-F-I-R-E, is an energy, but it also has a crystalline form, so it has a physicality to it where it touches and builds up sort of almost like a spun sugar crystal mound there. And I've done a video on the sapphire pillar or throne, so I'm not going to go into that other than to say it is an important umbilical cord that feeds the inner earth from the outer cosmos. So the fact that Seraphim is so close to that is important in this picture. And that means that, of course, the Dakini have chosen a place on the planet that is perfect, ideally suited for their connection to their cosmic frequencies coming in to the interior of the planet. The special mission of Seraphim, the city and the island, is focused on connecting to the new Earth reality, the new Earth star. Again, if we look at it as toroidal, it exists now. The new Earth exists even at this moment. But from a linear perspective, of course, it does not. So the beings, the persons in Seraphim, connect to that reality at that point, at that juncture where they are. And there's a lot about that on videos I've made previously, so I'm not going to expand further on it at this moment. But what we're seeing here is the reason why the Dakini chose that particular location. I'm sure there are more details to it, but that's the general reason. This concludes Chapter 2 of the Sky Dancers.